Hello class. In the previous video I sort of showed you how to set up this grid template using guides and things to sort of lay out a portfolio. I just wanted to show a video of a portfolio I've recently made for myself that sort of shows how I've used it. Now I've deconstructed the grid for clarity purposes for this video. By that I mean I had a 3-column grid and a 2-column grid overlaid on top of each other in the last video. So I broke that apart so I only have 3-column grids and 2-column grids separately. But I wanted to show you how I use them in ways, and also this halfway line that we see in some of these. So I'll just sort of zoom in on some of these projects. Let me close this down here. And this one you can see, first of all, I have full bleed, which means that the drawing's coming to the edge, and so I've sort of ignored the margins in the first place. But in this case, I have which is essentially 1-column grid on this side, I suppose, and a 3-column grid over here. And we'll notice that this image crosses this whole page, occupies 1 column, and although this is what I would call a 3-column gridded page, the drawing still can go over 2 columns, right? So this image takes 1 column and 2 columns. This image takes 1 column, this 2 columns, and this one takes 2 columns as well, this text block here. And you'll notice I've just ignored the halfway line. I have it there, but it really, even this image isn't lining up. I just didn't need it. I focused on these 2 images and the text and what space they sort of needed to take up the right amount of space. And as I scroll down, we can sort of see this one is using a 2-column page image, where I'm really just using the 2 columns just because text gets too wide, so I've broken up this image. But this fits within the 2 columns that I have. And then this one also is crossing 2 columns on that page, and again I've generally ignored the halfway line. This guy here, again, it's sort of laid out on the 2-column grid line, but sometimes I break the grid. In this case, this was so skinny, I just sort of ignored the 2-column grid on this side. However, I am using the halfway point on this line to define some of the important divisions of the elements of pages on there, right? So I've used it here. This is why I don't double line this one, because you see I don't use it a lot, but sometimes it becomes important, and so on and so forth. So you can see again I've used the midway point here just for a reference point, because I'm going to have 2 images that make sense. On this side, no, it doesn't make sense to use, but again I'm using the 2-column grid really for text. Again, here we go. This is a very clear 2-column grid, maybe the most 2-column grid I've had on here. This one spans the 2 columns, crosses the halfway point, but this image is broken up in 2, and then this is sort of continuation of that. Here we go. Here's another time where I set up a 2-column here and a 2-column here, but I've decided to break the 2-column grid when I span this image just because I felt like I needed a little more room, and I really want to align this image block together. So again, it is okay to sort of split it up as well. I'm just going to sort of zoom through. A lot of these are 2-column grids. We see here's another 3-column grid with spanned over. In this case, I span the text over the two blocks this way. I'm trying to see, I don't know if I have them in my portfolio currently, but I have seen done, and I think it's perfectly fine, that sometimes you have 2 columns on one side and 1 column on the other. So actually here we see I've set up a 3-column on this side to start to define the images here, but I've left the slide as 2 columns here. Now I haven't really used the 2 columns, but if I had 2 little images on this page, it would have been perfectly fine. So you can have 2 columns on this side, 3 columns on this side, or 3 columns on this side, 2 columns on that side, or any sort of combination thereof. And again, in our presentation, I have it all mixed to one, so you just sort of have to think through and say, okay, well, what is you know, this side I'm going to stick to 3 columns, so I'll ignore the 2-column grid. And on the other side I'm going to do, or another page I'm going to do 2 columns, so I'll ignore the 3-column spread image. And so it's sort of up to you to sort of play that out that way. So that's how you sort of use it. Again, that grid system that we created in the last video was originally in all of these slides, and I just use what I need for them. I mix and match as needed, and when needed, a few times I'll even break the rules a little bit. So that's how you use it. Thanks for watching.